Hello, Lady Boss Trader Terry here to discuss another video about using the Obsidian Suite or Obsidian indicators to trade futures. Now, it's been a moment since I've posted a video. Life happened and, been busy. But nevertheless, I wanted to share with you a video or some testing that I've been doing not using the Renko candles. So I've had some people reach out to me to say, they're struggling. Even I was a little bit, they love the Renko candles, but is there another strategy, so to speak, to that you can use the Obsidian suite for trading futures? And if you are new to futures or new to Obsidian, two gentlemen have come up with a suite. It's part auto trader if you decide to get that piece of it, and then the other part is a suite of indicators that will help you to have better trades. So all of that said, the default settings are to use Renko candles, which is they have their own version of that. But in this video, we're going to talk about an alternative, which is using the volume setting in Ninja using the Heikin-Ashi candles. Now, I actually got this from watching videos in their Discord from Kyle, one of the co-owners of the company, that was trading, let's say, the 2-minute or the 5-minute Heikin-Ashi candles. And so if you aren't familiar with those candles, just think of them as averages of the previous candle, and they are delayed. And so those are probably the two things that you want to know about those candles. And so you might get a slightly delayed response, but to me, it's a smoother and easier way, at least for me, to trade. So I'll go over some of the setups. We're going to go back in time. In fact, the trading day on November 10th has not finished, and I have just decided to go back because things are moving really slow to show what was possible. I did not take this trade, unfortunately. I did a few scalps, and they were successful, except for one I kind of overtraded, full disclosure. But I had some errands to run and I came back and I said, man, if I had only used my strategy, I would have been what they call green. It would have been good all day, right? So let's go over the setup, where things are, and kind of dissect what's on the screen. So I have a bunch of indicators up here. Hopefully it's not too confusing. This green or bluish green tint is just the shaded areas for my EMAs, my moving averages. They are set at 3 and 29. I can't tell you exactly why I'm using 3 and 29. I was using like 3 and 34. I think it's like a setting a lot of people or some people use. And I was just kind of tweaking settings to see when the move was occurring, but not getting chopped up, if that makes sense. So when the moving averages are crossing might be an entry point, but I also didn't want to get chopped up if it was way up here or something. So it was playing with some settings. Please do your due diligence on this. This is a strategy in process. Tweaking it. I'm not a financial advisor. All those things. I'm not giving financial advice. I am sharing with you what I have discovered and what I'm doing. All right, so now that we got that all out of the way, and then we have our moving averages. And you can determine if you want it shaded or not. I like it shaded because it makes it quite obvious. So essentially what I have done with these settings is I'm using the volume and the Heikin-Ashi candles. So over here, up at the top left, typically most people might trade on a time frame. Like I might trade on 5 minutes, and then my chart would adjust. And these are, if I were to go up here, they're probably using the regular candles, right? If I were to change the seconds, week, days, month, you get the idea. If I change to the Renko candles, then we're going to get Renko settings for trading, which is momentum, and you're going to get that setting. But I am not really a scalper, and it's a struggle for me. And I find that volume, which is slower typically, does better for my style of trading. So I'm really a swing trader. Like if I had to pick something, swing/day trader would be my preference. So if I go over here to this configure button and I say, hey, for my Heikin-Ashi candles, and it may not be in your list, and you might have to go add, and then you could pick different things in here. Once it's already in your list, it's selected, and then you can configure the values for that type of interval. So I have, yes, minute time frames, but I also have volume. And so over here on the right, I can say what I want. I typically give it a, let's say I was looking at 2300, right? So if I say that was 2300 vol, it's just a label. I would change this to volume, and then I would do 2300, which means it has to have enough volume to move the market and form that next candle. And so then I can have this in here and in my list. Now, you need to do your own due diligence, but let's say if I picked 5,000. So at this time of the year, typically volume is lower than normal. The big boys, the institutional markets, tend to leave the market. They've made their money for the year. Of course, if there's opportunity, they're still going to do it. But typically it's retail traders, and we're not enough of a force to move the market in big numbers, so the volume is low. So having said that, when I was starting to test this, I was using a volume level of like 10,000 and 7,500. And that was literally like 3 weeks ago. But now I'm using volume levels of 5,000 on a slow day, even sometimes 2,500. But I really don't like the 2,500, but I like to keep it at 5,000. That's just me personally. It takes longer, but I don't get chopped up or entered into a trade too soon. So if I set this for my 5,000 and using the bot, like I'm going to solely rely on the bot to get me in. So I'm going to pick the long and short, meaning basically buy or sell. I'm trading one NQ contract. I'm going to put my quantity safety on, which means let's say it was really just rip roaring, the market is heavy, there was some news. This makes sure I don't accidentally get into more than one contract. Have you ever been, clicked on it, whether it's TradingView or Ninja, any other platform, and then all of a sudden you've got like 5 contracts when you really meant to get one, and then you blow your account? This helps prevent that. And then I'm going to put on confirm, and I'll go over that in just a second. And then my ATM is an ATM that I have that does trailing, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. This is playback. This is all sim. I highly suggest you sim and practice it. And then I'm just going to put it on auto, meaning I'm going to have it just keep trading like that throughout the day. And then I can arm it. Now, before I arm it and actually start to play, I want to talk about one more thing, which is the reasoning why I'm looking at like 5,000 or 10,000 or even 7,500. So when I'm looking at quote unquote the move, like from here, if you can see, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. These numbers are 595 ticks and 18 bars, 490 ticks, 18 bars, or 13 bars, and on and on. So you see that there's a large amount of ticks in these moves, but because I'm waiting for the confirmation, I'm not going to get in at the very tippy top, and I'm not going to get out at the very end. My goal is to get as much as possible of the middle. So this confirmation from the bot or from Obsidian says, hey, here we are, get me in, and I'm going to use like a trailing stop and all those other kind of things in my ATM to keep me in the trade as long as possible before maybe it retraces in here. So I'm expecting at least 100 tick move, at least. And so while this might take longer, it's less stressful for me and I'm okay with that, with just getting a piece of the move. Okay, so let's get this started. I always forget that when you're fast forwarding through this, it makes you reset all your settings in the Obsidian setup. So before we click play, we're gonna go ahead and do if we're looking for a buy or sell, our quantity safety to make sure we don't have more contracts than we really want. auto, and then we're going to arm it. Now, it could be that if we were only expecting some buys, I could disable the shorts. Like, I'm not looking for the confirmations for them, and vice versa. If I'm only looking for sells, where I only wanted to get me into a sell, then I would uncheck the sell, uncheck the buy, the longs here, and just have the shorts here. So I'm going to speed this up so we're not here until Black Friday or Christmas coming up. And if I wasn't sure, let's say we were in chop or something like that, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I like this. My sell zone of red is really close to my buy zone. I might go ahead and totally disarm this, as I'm not trusting anything that it's telling me right now, or that the market they're too close and it could choose the wrong way. Then I could disarm it and wait until things were clear in what direction things were going. So I believe about 1040, 1045 is about where things sort of pick up with this for today. Now, mind you, like I said, this is, I did not take this move. Unfortunately, I wish I had. I was gone most of the day, and so I came back, saw this, and I wanted to do a video on using the volume indicator, what I've been testing with, and seeing how does it work out. Sometimes it takes longer, as I mentioned earlier, that this time of the year the volume in the market tends to decrease because it's just made up of retail traders. So let me scoot this down just a little bit so you have a better view of things. Remember, we are expecting at least 100 tick moves. So let's see. Do I have everything armed? Yes. So we're going to wait until it is confirmed, and it should get me in the trade. Also, if I look down here at my MACD, this is not necessarily part of the Obsidian suite. This is just, I'm a MACD girl. I like to see when it starts to go up and cross, and same for if it's going down. That sort of gives me confirmation that we're going down. So it has gotten me in the trade here, and now my ATM is going to start working. So this is a free indicator. I'm not going to go into that now, but I can see that if it were to suddenly go against me, this is where I would be. I would still be down. I'm not even positive in the trade. And so now I'm up in the trade. I'm above, but I'm at, let's see, at $195, even though this whole tick is, or the amount of ticks is around 100 or so ticks. So this tells me what my profit margin or the dollar amount is as my ATM starts to move up. If I get a little nervous because it's up here in the red, possible reversal, then I can just go ahead and move my stop loss up a little bit further. So we have what, over 350 some ticks. I'm at 700 and some dollars right now. So sorry if this, I'm trying not to make you dizzy. So it's still going up. I can now, let's say I move this up a little bit more. That red zone disappeared. We broke through it and it's still going up. I can move this up a little bit more. My stop loss, I'm at 1160. So let's say if I move this up a little bit more, starting to hit that, get close to that next zone. So I got stopped out. It might continue to keep going, but you get the idea. I'm going to pause this. This still kept going. I actually think this move got over 800 ticks. I can't remember. The morning move was 700 and some. And even with this one, our take profit was what, 1361. So I did this earlier and I got like, I think it was 1600. So it kept going. But again, you get the idea that if you like to take maybe a slower pace or a slower approach, and where you're really just trying to get a piece of the move, then you might want to consider the volume indicators using the Heikin-Ashi candles. If you aren't familiar with Obsidian, you can sign up via yes, it's an affiliate link below for a trial. There is a sale going on at the time of this recording. I don't remember the percentage off at the moment, but if you have any questions, let me know. I'm just a regular person, just like everybody else, working on this and working my way through it. So that's it for now, and I'll talk to you later.